And it is the SoCal Restaurant Show. And happily, we're here with you every week from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co host of the show. Thanks for being out there. And yes, it is a very special show today because we are celebrating the 10th anniversary of the launch of the SoCal Restaurant Show. Kind of hard to believe it's been 10 years, but boy, we are happy about that and also happy to still be here. So we want you all to join in the celebration this morning. It is going to be a jam-packed show. And yes, we are in Anna Maria Island, Florida, which is on Florida's Gulf Coast. I've had a chance to spend a couple days here and really delve into the island, kind of understand what this is all about, meet a lot of people, and of course, eat a lot of incredibly delicious food. I'm sorry you can't share in that, but what we will be bringing you is a lot of the people that have been serving the food, making the food, and also people that in the food and hospitality area here in the Anna Maria Island area are doing some really special things organically, sustainably, closed loop, being very concerned about the carbon footprint. And what's great about Anna Maria Island is this is really a taste of old Florida that you don't see too many places. And what do I mean by that? Well, on the island, you still see some of the original cottage beach homes that people built in the teens and the 20s that have been preserved and restored. And some of them have some modern touches on the exterior just to know that you're in 2022 and not 1920, but done very tastefully and very artistically. So that's very exciting to see. I am staying at the only destination resort on the island. This is the Waterline Villas and Marina, and we'll be talking about them a little later in the show. But boy, very comfortable accommodations and with 50 boat slips. So, you want to come here and park your yacht and either enjoy their wonderful restaurant, the Chateau Anna Maria, or some of the other amenities that they have at the property. You're more than welcome to do that. So again, just very excited to be here. We'll talk about how this all came about, but right at the beginning, we want to thank our hosts, which is the Child Hospitality Group, and then also the local CVB, which is the Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, and Longboat Key Convention and Visitors Bureau. And yes, I need to take a breath after all of that, but we do want to thank them profoundly for making all of this possible and responding to our initial inquiry in terms of what might be and what we could do to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the show. Another reason that I am in this area is I'm a board member of the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association. Pre-COVID, we were able to do an annual conference every year in a destination. Obviously, that's been on a hiatus for a little while, but I'm glad to say that we are back this year, and we are over in the St. Petersburg, Clearwater area next week. And I am going to be presenting, as I have for the last 5 years, the culinary panel, which showcases local chefs that are making a difference, farmers, people that are doing specialty food products, and in that vein. So this was a great excuse to be able to get to Anna Maria Island a little bit earlier and enjoy an area of the country that I knew very, very little about to start with. My goal today is to help all of you out in the listening audience better understand why Anna Maria Island and environs is really a wonderful destination. Fortunately, they are just out of their high season right now, so things are a little calmer here, and I've been able to enjoy a lot of the restaurants and all the attractions with ease. But vacation rentals are very popular here, and what's great about the beaches, and we're going to get into this in a little bit with a representative from the local CVB, the white sandy beaches, unlike the Pacific in California, where the sand is a little bit more gray in color, this is all silica. So it is definitely white sandy beaches. And what's a lot of fun is even when it's very warm out, this sand doesn't pick up the heat. So when you walk on the sand, even though it might be in the 90s, you're not going to burn the bottom of your feet. So that definitely is an attraction of the area, which I certainly appreciate. Again, do keep up with us on social media. We're on all the platforms, a lot of good information that connects Saturdays. And we're enthusiastically presented each and every week, as we have been for the last 10 years of the SoCal Restaurant Show, by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. So what's on tap today? Well, we're going to start out with Colby Gason, who is the Marketing and Communications Director for the Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, and Longboat Key CVB. Take a breath. Then we're going to go and speak with the developer of the accommodations that I am staying in, which is the Waterline Resort and Villas. Fascinating hotelier hospitality company. In addition to developing destination resort properties, they also are in the vacation rental business. And they manage properties. Very entrepreneurial fellow by the name of Joe Collier, who is the president and founder of them. I know we're going to enjoy speaking with him. Then we're going to be talking with a lot of the culinary team that is part of the Child's Hospitality Group. They have 3 of the most popular restaurants that are on Anna Maria Island. And believe it or not, they're all beachfront. The flagship is the Sandbar Restaurant, which I believe goes back to 1979. Literally, you can dine on the sand. I was lucky enough to be there Thursday night to enjoy the sunset. And I'm not sure which is more spectacular, the food or watching the sunset there, but I think they're both equally appealing. So we're going to be meeting with the culinary director for the 3 Child's Hospitality restaurants, the other 2 being the Beach House and then the Mar Vista Dockside Restaurant and Pub. And again, there, 14 boat slips, so you want to pull in your yacht, have a cocktail, enjoy dinner, you definitely can do that. And again, just with spectacular views and vistas. Then, if all of that was not enough, Child's Hospitality believes in the closed loop system in terms of supplying their restaurants. They actually have a 26-acre organic farm called Gamble Creek Farms, where they grow as much of the produce for their 3 restaurants as they possibly can. They also have a farmer's market, and being Florida, there are certain times of the year that an outdoor farmer's market might be a little uncomfortable. So, of course, what did they do? They built a building on that property that is air conditioned. So it is an inside farmer's market that you can enjoy year round. I love the creativity of these people and the produce that they display there, the way they do it, all of the touches, just absolutely magnificent. So again, kudos to them on that. Then we're going to be speaking with an absolutely fascinating couple that runs something called Shogun Farms. And what Shogun Farms does is they humanely capture wild pigs, wild boar, which are nuisance pests in Florida. These little critters aren't friendly. They're very destructive and they can be very mean and aggressive. And what they do at Shogun Farms is they humanely trap these nuisance pigs. They bring them through a rehabilitation process of at least 3 months where they're fed organic fruits and vegetables, believe it or not. Then USDA certified, they are dressed, and then that meat is used by better restaurants that are in the entire area. And I have had some house-cured bacon from one of the Child's Hospitality chefs that comes from Shogun Farms. And let me tell you, this pig meat, is just absolutely delicious. So that's just a little snapshot of what we're going to be doing today. I definitely want you to hang around. It is the SoCal Restaurant Show. When we come back, we have Colby Gason, the Marketing Communications Director for the area CVB. We're proudly presented, as we have been for the last 10 years, by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. And welcome back. It is the special 10th anniversary edition of the SoCal Restaurant Show, and we're here with you every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show, kind of putting it all together. Glad to have you out there to help us celebrate our 10th anniversary. Who knew? And we're enthusiastically presented each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. As I was mentioning earlier, we are on Anna Maria Island, that is on Florida's Gulf Coast. Great vacation destination, some incredible white sandy beaches. And I wanted to bring on a senior member of the local CVB to tell us all about it, because this is a very special place. And with all of that as background, it is a pleasure to welcome Colby Gason, who is the communications director for the Bradenton, Anna Maria Island, and Longboat Key CVB. Colby, welcome and good morning. And I should mention, Colby is sitting right across from me.
Good morning, Andy. Thank you so much for having me. It's so much fun to be here.
Well, Colby, again, our thanks to the CVB and the Child's Hospitality Group for making all of this possible. Believe it or not, everything these good folks said that they would do in terms of facilitating the production of this show, they have done, and actually more so. And this is a good opportunity to thank our production services people who are here with us locally on Anna Maria Island. These are the good folks from the Manatee Educational Television Group, who are providing all of our production services here on Anna Maria Island. And we have a very dedicated crew here this morning of three folks from that group who are keeping us on the air, in addition to Lou in Technical Excellence back in Anaheim, and Michael Boyle, our Assistant Chief Engineer at AM 830. So we are definitely grateful for all the support. Colby, you have a very special area that you represent. Give us a little bit of the flavor, if you will, of Anna Maria Island, because there are very few places in the United States that you see something like this anymore.
Absolutely. So I've worked in Florida tourism for about 5 years now, and this is my second destination. And I will tell you, uh, going to conferences that Visit Florida puts on and seeing how the other beach destinations represent themselves, we have a product here that is really stands alone. Uh, when you come here, you're going to have a very authentic experience. It's not going to be very touristy. It's going to almost feel like you're coming home when you come to the island. And it's a great place to really share that experience with a loved one or families. It's just really going to deliver quaintness, friendliness. Bradenton is known as the friendly city, and just a one-of-a-kind beach experience while you're here in our area.
Tell us a little bit about the beaches, because you have really many notable beaches, and some have won some very special environmental awards.
I would love to. So we're very proud of our pristine beaches, as you spoke about before. And what really makes our beaches so special are the cities that stand around it. So when you come to Anna Maria Island, you're not going to come and see major hotels that really break up the skyline. You're going to really come here, and it's going to feel like you're driving through a neighborhood, which is going to feel very warm, inviting, and welcoming. It's important to say that we do have gentle surfs here, which make our waters not only enjoyable from the sands, but also great to enjoy once you're in there. So no threats of any tough currents or anything like that. It's great to get the kids in the water, get the parents enjoying it. And then staying in a rental, we're primarily a beach rental destination, makes for great generational travel. You can have the whole family there together, sharing every step of the experience while you're here.
Um, Colby, something I'm interested or usually see in beach resorts are very high-rise condos, high-rise hotels, very high density on tiny pieces of property. What's the look of Anna Maria Island?
Not that. Uh, You're not gonna see those typical major structures. You can't actually build a certain height on the island, which again makes for a very unencumbered skyline, and really makes it an authentic experience. You're gonna see warm beach cottages that speak to kind of that old Florida feel, but you're also gonna see new structures that blend right in. So it's really the blending of generations that have called this island home and people who are going to come and call our island home for just a period of their time.
Let's talk about food for a minute, if we can, Colby,
Yes,
because
please.
it is the SoCal Restaurant Show. On Anna Maria Island, I have not seen a chain restaurant or a franchise restaurant. I've seen a lot of wonderful restaurants that have local flavor. Nothing that is cookie cutter. Is my observation correct?
You are spot on. Uh, that is one thing that really attracted me to our destination was coming here and really having, I hate to sound like a broken record, but really authentic experiences. When you come here, you're going to see mom and pop shops that have been in the family for a really long time. And with that comes a lot of passion for what they do. And that is really going to contribute to the culinary experiences you're not only going to have on the island, but you're going to have throughout our destination. So we are more than just Anna Maria Island. We love it. It is our crown jewel, but we also have a vibrant downtown area where that same sentiment comes over across the bridge. I could talk about food all day long, so let's get into it.
What is the island and the greater Bradenton area known for in terms of cuisine? Obviously, there's some incredible local seafood here. Tell us a little bit about those observations.
So the water has been a huge part of the history of not only the island but the downtown area. And we do have some great museums where you can go and learn about the culinary history that still continues to this day. With that being said, there's Cortez, which is one of the longest operated fishing villages. And you will find people there who have done this generation after generation after generation. So going and dining on the dock and seeing the fishing boats right there is, I mean, it doesn't get any fresher, right? You're like, my fish was on the boat, now it's on my plate. Thank you for the person who delivered this to me today. And then when you come into the mainland, we're really known for our Floridian cuisine. So, Florida, Caribbean, Floridian, there you go, a marriage of terms.
Rolls right off your tongue, Colby.
I try. But the Floridian cuisine is something you'll definitely see throughout because citrus, of course, is important to the whole state, but it's also played its part in the history of our area as well. We actually still have Mixon Farms, which is, again, a generational operated farm out towards the countryside. We're not just beaches, we do have country. So that kind of directly still contributes into our culinary inspiration here.
Sounds terrific. Now, we are on historic Pine Avenue at the corner of Pine and Gulf. What is special about Pine Avenue?
You mean apart from the shopping? My husband doesn't like me to spend much time on Pine Avenue. Um,
Gets expensive?
well, it can, always. So I've been very good today. What's so special about Pine Avenue, though, is that it is a sustainable road. There's certain things you can and cannot do on Pine Avenue, but there's also rich history. So as you're walking and shopping, there's the pier that has been rebuilt to the original pier that was formerly standing. We have those things we don't talk about in Florida that sometimes cause damage during this time of year. Um,
Heard something about that.
you know, we just don't say that word. It's like Macbeth in the theater. Uh, but there is a restaurant at the end of the Rod and Reel Pier, and it's so photogenic, and it's just, again, a very special place that you can go, and you can't experience that anywhere else. The Anna Maria Historical Society is also a very special place that has a building on property that used to actually be on the pier and allegedly got knocked off during a storm one time and allegedly was built of cork so it floated in the water until somebody pulled it out and lived in it for a while and then they donated it. So, with that being said, you can go and you can walk and you can kind of connect all of these dots of Pine Avenue and where it is today, but also see how far it's come. And that's something that, as somebody who works in tourism, I love seeing how it's evolved over the years and seeing how our destination has grown with that.
Colby, there is never enough time, but for our listeners to get more information about this area, what is the best website and what resources are there?
Absolutely. So they can go to BradentonGulfIslands.com to learn more about our destination. And we actually have a foodie focused Instagram account called Dine Bradenton, where you can go and get all of the delicious inspiration to start planning your trip.
And can you spell Bradenton just so everybody knows?
Oh, Andy, you're putting me on the spot. Of course I can. Bradenton, Bradenton.
Ladies and gentlemen, Colby Gason from the local CVB. Colby, thanks for the warm welcome, and we're going to be talking more about Anna Maria Island and environs. You are listening to the SoCal Restaurant Show. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of the accommodations that are here on Anna Maria Island, particularly the Waterline Resort, and Marina, a very, very special place. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. Don't wander far. And welcome back. It is the 10th anniversary version of the SoCal Restaurant Show. And happily, we're here with you every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, putting it all together for you, the executive producer and co-host of the show. And we're proudly presented each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. My home away from home these 4 days that I am on Anna Maria Island before I move over to St. Petersburg is the only destination resort that is on Anna Maria Island, that being the Waterline Villas and Marina. If you have a boat, you can dock it right there and come in and enjoy a great meal or a lot of the amenities that are at this wonderful property, including a resort pool deck that actually extends out into the marina. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I have a wonderful view from my third floor balcony of the goings on there. So it's very delightful to be able to have that waking up in the morning and going to bed at night. This is a property of Mainsail Lodging and Development. Their founder and president is a very entrepreneurial gentleman by the name of Joe Collier. I've had a chance to look into his background, and this is a gentleman that is definitely ahead of his time and knows hospitality, which right now, when hospitality is lacking in many areas, it's nice to find a hotel management company that really recognizes it starts and ends with hospitality. And if you don't have it, you're definitely in the minus column. And with that as background, it is a pleasure to welcome to the SoCal Restaurant Show for the first time, Joe Collier, who is sitting across from me. Joe, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here. Happy to be here.
Thank you. Your company has over a 20-year background, but you are very active in Anna Maria Island, both as destination resorts and in vacation rentals. Tell us a little bit about how the property I am staying in came about and the idea of combining a destination resort where you can dock your boat or yacht there. Coming from California, Joe, this is something new to me.
Yeah, I'll tell you the backstory. Back in '08, when the world was kind of melting down, recession times, et cetera, we had a chance to actually buy the property from a bank, which we did along with the Beach Inn property. And we bought the two of them together and then held on to them for a little while and then kind of went through the entitlement process and built Waterline, which is where you're staying now, 37 units right on the water. It's unusual in the sense that it's a full service hotel, but the units are large. They're 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They're about 1,200 square feet, full kitchens. So they're not the typical hotel room. We're part of Marriott's Autograph Collection, which is interesting for us. We have a lot of other properties that are part of that. And what it does for us is it allows us to curate and do something interesting from a design standpoint. We can kind of be a boutique hotel, but we hook up to Marriott's system. So the Bonvoy points, the distribution, the reservation system, we're hooked into Marriott's system. So while you'll never know if you pull up to the property that it's a Marriott, we are part of their system. So we're very happy to be part of Anna Maria. It's a quaint town. We think vacations and destination weddings, they're in search of quaintness, is what I call them. Everybody's in search of quaintness, and certainly Anna Maria has that. So we've combined kind of both of those properties in Anna Maria and have the ability to kind of put guests back and forth sometimes. We share staff. And then we have some other properties as well through our vacation rental program. We're in the vacation rental business with regular homes and condos and those types of things. So we do a little bit of it all.
Tell us a little bit more about the vacation rentals because that is a whole separate company, and I know one that's very busy. And obviously, in terms of the high season rentals on Anna Maria Island, that's a huge endeavor.
Yeah, and I think that's the way things are kind of going. People like they like homes. So what we do is we take people's homes that they own, we put them in our rental program. So it's their home, it's their asset. We take care of it. We put it in our rental program. Once again, we're affiliated with Marriott's 31st brand with something called Marriott Homes and Villas. So again, that's very unusual in the sense that you could rent a home and use your Bonvoy points to actually stay in the home or earn your Bonvoy points staying in one of these homes. So, Anna Maria is known to have, 3, 4, 5 bedroom homes and people rent them out. So we're in that business as well, kind of up and down the Gulf Coast. And people seem to be going in that direction. That's very positive right now.
Well, I think for the homeowners, Joe, to have their property professionally managed, that's a big burden off of them.
It is. It is. I mean, a lot of people they want to know who's going to mow their grass, who's going to take care of the pool. They just kind of want to wash their hands of it. They show up and use it when they want to use it. The rest of the time, some a professional company's taking care of it, and they're earning some rental revenue on it. So it's the cost of ownership comes way down.
Now, there is a pioneering brand that you debuted a few years ago in Tampa, where Mainsail is based, that I believe you've now expanded to Atlanta. Tell us a little bit about that concept.
Yeah, so we have a hotel in Tampa called the Epicurean. It's a food centric. Epicurus was the god of indulgence. Good is good. Good is a good. I can't remember the exact quote, but nonetheless, it's about eating and drinking and indulgence, so to speak, in a positive way. We built that hotel in South Tampa in Hyde Park. It's across from the famous Burns Steakhouse, which a lot of people know. It's one of the probably top restaurants in the United States, has the largest private wine cellar. The gentleman that
Some
owns,
pretty fantastic desserts, too.
oh yeah, yeah, incredible dessert room there. The owner of Burns is my partner. We built this hotel called the Epicurean, and again, food centric. And then we copied it and did another Epicurean hotel in Midtown Atlanta in a building that's attached to a huge office building that Google is now moving into with about 3,000 employees. So we're expanding that Epicurean brand. It's again very unique, part of Autograph Collection, but you don't think and you don't see the word Marriott really anywhere. It feels like a very boutique hotel.
Well, Joe, something very interesting about your background. Way back when, didn't you actually start with Marriott?
I did. I did. I went to hotel school at Florida State. I actually started as a dishwasher when I was 13 years old. Went to FSU and learned hospitality business. Started with Marriott, worked for them for about 15 years, and then left Marriott in '98 to start Mainsail.
So kind of come full circle, as it were.
Yeah, and I've maintained a great relationship with Marriott. Obviously,
Obviously, yes.
yeah. I mean, we're a franchisee for them. We're probably one of their fastest growing franchisees. We have an incredible team of people, and a lot of them we plucked from companies like Ritz, like Hyatt, like Marriott. People that wanted to come do something different. They wanted to work in the boutique hotel space. I'll give you an example. So at the Epicurean Hotel, we have a culinary theater, and in that culinary theater you can come and you bring your spouse or your significant other and have a 5 or 6 course meal, drink some great wine, and then you end up learning something. The chef engages, he shows you what he's making as he's doing it, and you walk away having a great time socializing with some new people and learning something. So and that has become for our corporate groups incredibly popular because what they'll do is they'll do their meeting, and then at the end of their meeting they'll have an Iron Chef competition or a bartending competition, or and everybody, we give them sharp knives and and wine and let them have a good time.
Joe, something very interesting that you do with your hotel group. Many of the large chains have this notion that they would like to make their restaurant that's in that hotel a destination. And for the most part, at least we see this in California, that just doesn't really work because saying you want to do that and putting the resources into it and sticking with it are two different things. One of the flagships of your hotel brands, I know, in your developments is you know you need to have a destination restaurant that is as popular with the locals as it is with the visitors. How is that your vision all the way along, and how have you been able to make that work when so many of the, huge guys can't?
You've taken the words out of my mouth. We want them to come down the elevator, our hotel guests, and we don't want them going to the bellman and saying, "Hey, hey, where's a good place to eat?" We want them to see the locals, and then they know that they've found a good place to eat and drink. Unfortunately, hotels, if you think about them nostalgically, back in the day, there was banks, post office, shoe shine guy. Hotels were a place of business, and we got away from that. And some of these lobbies became more like mausoleums and way too sterile. We don't do that. We want to activate every space in our hotel. We want to be a place of business. We want the locals to feel comfortable there. And really, frankly, our food and beverage isn't successful in if the locals aren't there. And so we push very hard for that. It's part of our mantra for all of our hotels, and in part because the restaurants don't work. And I don't know the last time you said to your wife, let's go to the Marriott for dinner. That just doesn't normally happen. You probably can't
No.
think of the last time you did that. And it's unfortunate because back in the day, Marriott and Hyatt and some of those places, some of the really finer specialty restaurants used to be in those hotels, and people would
Absolutely.
go there.
Absolutely.
But not now. You don't really think of that, and they're usually sterile environment, institutional.
Very corporate.
It's just it's no bueno. So we have tried to change that, and really worked well for us. And from a business standpoint, if you serve a great martini, if you serve a great dinner, people will pay a little bit more to stay in the hotel. And we found that out during COVID. It definitely happened because a lot of hotels that were charging a fair amount of money weren't serving any food and beverage because they didn't have the staff or they didn't have the wherewithal to be able to do it. And we found out people were highly disappointed in that. If you're going to stay in a big hotel with elevators and a big box hotel, but you can't get something to eat or drink, well, you might as well just stay in a select service hotel.
Couldn't agree more. Joe, in our remaining moments, one of the mantras of your company is to be very involved in the community. Something that's very special in Anna Maria Island is this is where the endangered loggerhead turtles come to nest. And you've been involved as a corporation, as a company, in this movement to try to help the loggerheads. Just very briefly, tell us about what you're up to and if we know how Esther is doing.
Oh yeah, Esther. So we've been doing this for many years now in Anna Maria. Love the turtles. We have them as part of our some of our logos, and we have some actual metal sculptures of turtles. We got involved. We sponsored many things. We've provided some financial resources. Esther is named after Esther Williams, the water ballet, or she was actually a competitive swimmer, and then I guess they call it synchronized swimming, but they used to call it water ballet, and she was in all those movies. So Esther is named after her. And they go for thousands of miles, which is amazing to watch them track. We have the GPS, and so we're happy to do that. We love being a part of whatever's going on in the community that's important. We do some of the same types of things up in Tampa and our other markets. We always pick a cause, something that's important to us, and then we jump in with both feet.
Joe, as we need to say goodbye, what is the best website for Mainsail Lodging?
www.mainsailhotels.com, and you'll see everything that we're doing there, our future projects, our existing portfolio, and you can go and find all kinds of information about all these things that we're doing.
Joe, it has been a delight staying with you. Thank you for making the effort to be with us here live today, and I look forward to following the progress of your company.
Thank you. My pleasure.
You are listening to the SoCal Restaurant Show. When we return, we're going to be starting to talk about the culinary side of Child's hospitality. We're proudly presented each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. Don't wander far. Right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show. Welcome. and we're enthusiastically presented to you each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. As we were saying, it's a very special edition of the SoCal Restaurant Show today. We are live from Anna Maria Island. One of our two hosts for this broadcast is the Child's Hospitality Group, which operates 3 beachfront restaurants here on Anna Maria Island, all different, but all definitely wonderful in their own particular ways. And it is definitely now time to talk a little bit about the Child's Hospitality Group. Joining us here live is the culinary director for Child's Hospitality Group, that being Seth Condor, and the head baker for the Child's Hospitality Group, that being Teddy Luludis. Gentlemen, Seth and Teddy, welcome. A little closer to the microphone if you would. Let's start out first with Seth. Seth, you have a very extensive culinary background. You came to Child's Hospitality about 18 months ago, initially as the executive chef of the Mar Vista, and very quickly were promoted to the director of culinary. Tell us a little bit in terms of that particular position, what aspects are there, because you have 3 restaurant chefs that are reporting to you also.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having us.
Of course.
It's great that you're here advertising the Child's Group and all. Yeah, my background has a lot of education behind it, culinary school, bachelor's degree, minored in casino management, so that's fun. But throughout my career, just help managing restaurants and chefs, basically clearing the path for them, helping them source the right product for our company, ensuring they have no issues so they can just serve our guests the best way they can.
And in terms of day-to-day, what is your relationship with all of your restaurant chefs? I understand that, in terms of sourcing, suppliers, really giving them the detail work that they need, that is all part of your purview. Tell us a little bit more, Seth, if you would.
Yeah, so basically, every day I just try to visit each restaurant, touch base with all of our employees, our staff, and our chefs. Just talk to them about food, things that are coming in the horizon, fish that are going to be in this area that we need to harvest and serve to our guests, and just have a relationship with Teddy. Just talk about our desserts and other breads that we can make in the future for our guests.
I'd like to bring Teddy into the conversation as the head baker. Teddy, you have a very unusual position in that you produce product for 3 very, very busy restaurants that are destinations on their own, and are beloved by the local community and have a reputation far and wide, way outside of this area of Florida. That's a tremendous responsibility. Why do you think that Child's Hospitality wants to devote the resources to doing all of their baked goods and desserts in-house? From a labor standpoint, from a cost point of view, this is a huge expenditure.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap to bake bread in-house, actually, and I think mostly it's due to the labor, like you said, involved with producing all the breads and everything from scratch. It takes a long time. It doesn't just happen quickly. It takes multiple days sometimes, but the intentions are to make a more flavorful product and more nutritious product for our guests.
Tell us on any given day how many breads you bake in terms of the styles, not quantity, because again, painting the picture for our audience, these are 3 beachfront, very busy restaurants, even out of season, I notice.
Yeah, we do thousands of pieces of bread a day sometimes. Definitely a lot of sandwiches, grouper sandwiches and different, local fish sandwiches and things like that. Make every cracker, every piece of bread, every key lime pie, all the cakes. So it's a lot, but we just essentially started taking and replacing everything that was on the menu before and making it in-house.
Now, of course, Teddy, everybody after having a wonderful meal at either the Sandbar or Mar Vista or the Beach House, having rich, eye-appealing desserts on the menu is something that is absolutely essential. How do you address that? And of course, you have to have the best key lime pie.
Right. No, I mean that's pretty much our number one, seller. And that was an easy one for me to do. We haven't changed the recipe much besides the crust, which I just make with a little bit of cinnamon, and we use that for our cheesecake too, blueberry cheesecake. So the desserts are mostly just slices of cakes or pies, and most people just get a key lime pie. So it's not terribly difficult for us.
Now, Teddy, you're being very humble, but really doing a superb key lime pie is not something that's necessarily easy. You've given up one of your secrets when you talk about the crust. Where was the inspiration to put that touch of cinnamon in the crust? Because it does add a special quality to that dessert.
That's something my uncle Jimmy always did, and once I had one that he made, it was kind of like the no-brainer for me, and it does differentiate us, I think, a little bit. We make also more like a taller, thicker, more like a cheesecake key lime, so that's another little difference. But yeah.
Teddy, given that we're talking to Southern California right now, I'm sure some of our listeners are thinking, what's the difference between a regular lime and a key lime? Aren't they the same thing?
Yeah, a key lime is a little bit, I guess, more tart, I'd say, and doesn't have as much juice, so you definitely have to squeeze more to get the right amount. So it's similar to Persian lime, but it's just a little more tart, I'd say.
Shifting the conversation back to Seth, we're going to be specifically talking with some of the principals from two of your restaurants, not Beach House. So to give our audience, Seth, a little bit of a flavor, kind of characterize Beach House for us, because we understand of the Child's Hospitality restaurants, it's the most casual property. Of course, it's also on the beach. Tell us a little more.
Sure. The beach house. It's right in the middle of the heart of that beach district. Traffic, bridges are all right there. That's how you get on the island. And the beach house is about a 500-seat restaurant, so extremely busy. Perfect view of the Gulf. But yeah, very casual and laid back. The food style there is just kind of chill, just kind of what you expect when you go to a beach town. Fried fish. That's what our guests like. If you want something fresh, we also have something light like ceviche and something you could just use Teddy's crackers and just dip into one of our Gulf shrimp.
Sounds pretty attractive to me. Now, in all of your restaurants, Seth, there's a very serious bar program. And I think the bar program is probably the most serious at the Beach House. Tell us a little bit about that, because that is part of the beach vibe.
Yeah, we have a great beverage program there where we'll source a lot of local ingredients to use in our drinks. Uh, we we have Jubilee blueberries. We'll infuse that and just make a blueberry mojito. Just simply mashing it with a little mint that we get from Gamble Creek Farms, which is part of the Child's group as well, and just a simple syrup, some great rum, and some soda water to top it off. And not a key lime, but an actual lime that would go in there too.
Definitely want to use the key limes in the right place.
Correct.
That's for definite sure. Now, along the way, you were mentioning Gamble Creek Farms. In your experience working with some very large hospitality organizations, including Disney along the way, I do believe, have you ever been part of a restaurant group that makes the effort to have a 26-acre working organic farm?
No, a lot of times you'll see restaurants that are in the city. They're really rooftop gardens, and they'll have bees, hives, and all that. We have a certified organic area and an organic area. Our farmer Zach is top notch. Like talking to him, it's such as a chef, it's great to get so much information out of him, and how we use a lot of our scraps in the restaurant that go right back into the dirt over there to just keep reproducing the life cycle of food. Just dirt, seed, grow, to Teddy's bread, to any of our restaurants. Whatever doesn't get eaten goes right back in the ground and comes back. But I've never experienced it, and a lot of things that produce out of there is really quality, top-notch stuff.
It's really a fascinating operation. I had a chance to walk the property yesterday, and I've not really seen anything like it. And what's great is to actually have that farm store on property to be able to share Gamble Creek Farms with the general public outside of the restaurants, and to go through the effort with the Florida weather to be able to have it inside. So it is comfortable 52 weeks a year.
Yeah, it's a great little area that it's in, very in its own niche. And we do source a lot of local products too, different mushrooms, oils. We'll also use some of the Shogun pork in that store as well with sausage and bacon. So it's just a great little country store.
Something I noticed that really impressed me there yesterday, Seth, is the thought is that in the United States, at least in the mainland United States, you can't grow pineapple. The only place in the United States that you can grow them is in Hawaii, and of course, not doing that too much anymore because of the costs that are involved. Do you use some of the pineapples that Gamble Creek grows in the restaurants?
We will, obviously, like you were alluding to, we don't, the quantity is not there to help service all three restaurants, but we'll take something that comes off the farm, and that might be in a small batch, and focus it just in one area and really treat that product right. So, even if we have a special party and they want to do a pineapple upside down cake, we can use that pineapple in there and feature that.
Gentlemen, definitely something very special.
And they'll use, just sorry to cut you off. They'll use something like they'll start growing like a white pineapple. So that's something that's in the ground at the farm and we can kind of have something that's a little different as well. So we might not be able to grow it at scale, but
ladies and gentlemen, it is the SoCal Restaurant Show, our special 10th anniversary version thereof. We're speaking with the Child's Hospitality Group. Specifically, we're speaking with their head baker, Teddy Laludis, and also their culinary director, Seth Condor. We're taking our top of the hour break. We're going to pick up our conversation with these two gentlemen on the other side. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. And welcome back. It is hour 2 of the SoCal Restaurant Show, our special 10-year anniversary show, believe it or not. And we're usually here with you every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show, putting it all together. Thanks for all of you for being out there and being part of our 10th anniversary show, and also for our regular listeners for being part of this for 10 years. Pretty incredible. Been a very fast 10 years, but still hard to believe that it is 10 years. Do keep up with us on social media. We're on all the platforms, a lot of good information there that connects Saturdays. Website is SoCalRestaurantShow.com. Facebook is SoCal Restaurant Show. Send us a tweet if you like, and many of you do, at SoCal Restaurant. And as we love to say, for the very best in provocative food imagery, Instagram too, at SoCal Restaurant Show. And as we have been for the last 10 years, we are proudly sponsored each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. The restaurant group that I think is really probably the most prominent in Anna Maria Island, which goes back like 42 years, believe it or not, is the Child's Hospitality Group. They have 3 very popular beachfront restaurants here on Anna Maria Island. One where you can actually bring your boat and dock and have an adult beverage, as they like to say, or maybe dinner. Or at the sandbar, you actually can enjoy your meal on the sand and enjoy the sunset, which I had a chance to do on Thursday night, which was something pretty spectacular. And my colleague from the International Food, Wine, and Travel Writers Association, Corey Solomon, was only 20 seconds off when sunset would be. And gosh, we missed that bottle of champagne, but I think we did well. And again, quite an experience. So joining us again, picking them up from last hour, from the culinary team of Child's Hospitality. And believe me, the culinary team is more than a couple of folks. We have their culinary director, Seth Condor, and their head baker, Teddy Laludis. Gentlemen, welcome back to the show. Seth, picking up the conversation with you, we've talked a little bit about Beach House and kind of what the vibe is and what it looks like. Just very briefly, let's go back to the beginning, which is Sandbar, which is really the flagship of Child's Hospitality. In season on a busy Friday or Saturday night out of that tiny little kitchen that you have there. And it's actually two separate kitchens. I mean, in terms of the layout there, it certainly wasn't something you designed in 2022, but boy, it's a historical building and you got to make it work. How many guests would they serve on a busy night?
Sure. For us is considered January, mid-January, all the way to July 4th. That's typically it. Yeah, during season, up to about 3,000 guests, and that's lunch and dinner combined. And it's amazing that our guests would even wait. Some of the wait times are there, hour and a half, almost 2 hours. But you have the picturesque view of the beach right there, and you get to chill out for the 2 hours and then enjoy a great meal at the sandbar.
And Seth, it seems everyone comes away with a smile on their face. So
Yeah, good food. 3 simple ingredients: salt, pepper, and love. That's all you need.
also, Sandbar, and actually all of your properties, but I think probably Sandbar is in the lead. This seems to be a very popular destination for weddings because there actually was a smaller wedding that was going on the night I was there, and we kind of got to observe the fanfare on the beach at sunset and some of the festivities after the ceremony.
Yeah, it's a great venue just to have a wedding or any kind of celebration of life there. A little pavilion, so you're separate from our dining guests, so you can have your own little space. We have a great banquet team that will take care of you as well. But yeah, just the whole view and the vibe, just to celebrate with your family, is just a great area to have it in.
Now, Chef, I'm going to put you on the spot. What is one of your favorite entrees at Sandbar?
Uh, Chef Horatio, first of all, does a great job.
And we'll be meeting him a little later in the show.
Yeah, and he a lot of time, and what I love about our team is that you're only strongest as your weakest link, or whatever you want to say it like that. But
I think you said it.
yeah. But Horatio, some of his flavors from his background, really comes out in his food, and it's things that I haven't experienced. So it's awesome as a chef to learn from someone else. But one thing that I kind of gravitate when I usually go there, he has a lobster and enoki dish, local shrimp, Gulf shrimp. What's great about our company too, we firmly believe in sustainability. So snout to tail, per se. We'll use the grouper cheeks in that dish as well. So braise them a little bit, little fluffy, little enoki potato puffs, you want to say. Mushrooms are in there as well, and then we just finish it off with the lobster cream sauce. And little summertime, it changes because obviously it's something a little heavy. But this time of year, when it's a little bit cooler in Florida, it's a great dish to have.
Well, and Chef Horatio really has a touch with octopus. You can be a little scared sometimes to order octopus because if it's cooked right, Seth, it's wonderful, tasty, flavorful. But if it isn't and it's kind of chewy and not so good.
Yeah, kind of like what I was saying earlier, just the TLC he puts in the food. And it's not just him, it's his staff as well that does a great job to takes Horatio's vision and just puts it in every dish that he puts out there, for our 3,000 guests.
Teddy, bringing you back into the conversation, again, to go through the effort of all the brioche buns, all the hamburger buns, all the breads, the crackers being made in-house, coming out of your very tiny operation, because there's a rumor that you have this tiny corner at the beach house. I can only imagine the production that you're putting out there is just absolutely incredible. Just give us the lineup of the various breads that you do at any given time, because I enjoyed the other night at Sandbar. I enjoyed your olive bread, which was just really special, absolutely incredible.
Yeah, the olive ciabatta is one of our signature breads, I'd say. It's our most popular bread at the Gamble Creek Farmers Market. But yeah, we do everything from, like you said, the brioche buns, milk bread, ciabattas, focaccia. We make a hemp crisp bread that we use for smoked fish dip. We do sourdough breads, baguettes, just about any bread we can. We'll sometimes incorporate things from the farm, vegetables or fruits, for specialty loaves. So I have a lot of flexibility and creativity that that other bakeries won't have, being that we have a 26-acre organic farm. So that's a really great thing for us.
Teddy, I think baking is really part of your background because didn't you grow up in the family's pizzeria?
Yeah, so I was unfortunately a little young when we had the Zorba's Pizza place. We actually had six of them. Even in Tallahassee, we had one. But my older brother had a lot more experience in the kitchens there. But it was always something that I wanted to, kind of follow in the footsteps, feel proud doing. We do make actually a lot of being a seafood place, a lot of kid pizzas. Yeah, this is another thing that we can be proud of doing.
Seth, a pizza is never going to be any better than the base dough, no matter what ingredients you put on it and waving the magic wand and doing whatever. And Seth is nodding his head in agreement. Uh, what's the secret of a wonderful pizza dough? It should seem to be pretty simple.
It depends on what you need. There's so many different types of pizza doughs, Detroit style, Neapolitan style. Ours works for kids, and ours is we cross utilize another dough that we make, and it just works. So the secret is it depends. I think everyone talks about the water or this or that. I think the flour is really important. So we support Carolina Ground Flour Mill at Asheville, North Carolina. So that's another, differentiator for us.
In terms of the future of the baking program at the Child's Hospitality Group, what is on the immediate horizon? Because I know this operation is ever expanding. And of course, with Seth coming into the company and in his role, I'm sure that he wants to see more.
Yeah, we basically just want to have a further reach and establish a retail aspect of our business, and then possibly a little bit more wholesale, depending. But yeah, just kind of make more bread for more people.
Um, Now, in terms of outlets outside of the restaurant, tell us a little bit more as we need to close about what is available at any given time at Gamble Creek Farms. Because believe it or not, that's our next subject of conversation.
Yeah, so in addition to the breads I listed before, we have croissants, little mini key lime pies, blueberry cheesecakes, cookies, brownies, quick breads like zucchini bread, pumpkin breads, things like that.
Teddy, do you deliver fresh there every day they're open?
Yes, that's a constant goal of ours, and we're always trying to get it better. But yeah, ideally we serve fresh product every day.
Again, incredible. Gentlemen, as we need to say goodbye, what is the best website for the Child's Hospitality Group so people can get in there and get all the facts about all the restaurants, see all the menus, which that takes more than a couple minutes to look through, and know the next time they're on Anna Maria Island, definitely one of these establishments is a must.
Yeah, you could definitely check us out at childshospitality.com. All of our partners are there as well, so you could check them out. But our three restaurants, our farm, Teddy's Production is also on there, and also an online store. So if you wanted to buy yourself a hat or a cool shirt that says Mar Vista or a Sandbar, you can pick one up and have it sent out to SoCal.
Wonderful. Chef Seth and Teddy, thank you for the time. The Child's Hospitality Group. We're going to be talking more about them throughout the duration of the show. But again, appreciate the hospitality and the time. You are listening to the SoCal Restaurant Show. When we come back, it is Jim Harwood, who is the general manager of Gamble Creek Farms, which we've been talking about. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. And welcome back. It is the special 10th anniversary version of the SoCal Restaurant Show, and we're here with you every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show. Welcome, and we're enthusiastically presented each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. Well, we've been talking a lot about the Child's Hospitality Group earlier in the show, and you've also heard the name of Gamble Creek Farms coming up throughout. The Child's Hospitality Group is very unusual, and I have some knowledge about restaurant groups across the United States, going back more than a few years. And for a restaurant group to have their own 26-acre organic farm that services all of their restaurants, plus has a farm stand, I don't believe I have encountered any other restaurant group that makes that effort. Understand what it costs to maintain a 26-acre farm. Not an easy proposition. So when I heard about Gamble Creek Farms, as soon as I got to Anna Maria Island, I knew I had to get out there because their farm manager, a gentleman by the name of Zach Rasmussen, is quite a character. I don't know, in terms of sustainable agriculture, anybody that I've ever spoken to that is more knowledgeable than Zach is, and the passion this young guy has for what he does. In 5 minutes, he will overwhelm you with the knowledge that he has, but you learn a lot, and you can slow him down and ask questions. Representing Gamble Creek Farms for us this afternoon is Jim Harwood, who is the general manager of Gamble Creek Farms and a hospitality veteran that switched over to something that he loves too. Jim is sitting across from me here on Pine Avenue on Anna Maria Island, and it is a pleasure to welcome Jim Harwood to the SoCal Restaurant Show. Jim, hello again.
Oh, thank you, Andy. Hello. How are you today?
I am doing well. Enjoyed some of your produce last night at the Mar Vista, in particular after seeing it coming out of the ground on Friday afternoon and then enjoying it Friday evening. Kind of that closed loop there, Jim, that I really appreciate. All kidding aside, what is the overall mission of Gamble Creek Farms? Because as I said a couple times, and you've had a lot of experience in the hospitality industry, this is something highly unusual, and I think I'm understating it.
It's to find a way to do what we do sustainably and responsibly. Not just for our guests, for our teams, but for our children, their grandchildren. We are doing everything we can to protect water, to protect land. We make dirt out of the farm, and out of all the things that we see, all the amazing crops, all the organics that Zach and Natasha take the effort to maintain. The idea that we compost everything from these restaurants, that we compost everything from our partners, it's all the way. It's every closed circle, and that's what gets us all excited.
Jim, you mentioned something that I want to explain more. What happens to the organic waste that comes from the 3 individual restaurants? And to segregate that, again, labor-intensive process that very few restaurants and restaurant groups want to deal with.
So I saw the tour that you had. I was with you at the farm. I'm not sure exactly what you saw in each of the restaurants, but if you go through the restaurants, through all the way from the back dock into the back lines, the prep lines, up to the dish tank, and then behind the bars, you are going, and in the bus areas, you are going to find compost bins. Some of those are smaller if they're just keeping coffee grounds, at a bus station, or if it's in the back where plates are getting scraped, or if it's on the prep line where all of that vegan produce is going in. So we take those daily. We have a driver in a truck that goes around to each of our outlets daily, picks up these bins that have been filled the previous day, drives them out to the farm, out to Gamble Creek where we are, and we dump that produce. We dump that produce, and then we have arrangements and partnerships with local lumber companies, tree companies, that donate their mulch on a daily basis. So we take that food and we take that mulch and we turn it, and we make our own organic compost. It's fantastic.
Again, Jim, to your credit, but in terms of the business, something very unusual because, again, time-consuming, labor-intensive. At the restaurant level, they definitely need to be trained to be able to segregate those items, and definitely quite a process.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you're looking at that, because the farm and everything else that we do, our partnerships, we don't need to do them. I mean, of course, we need to do them ethically, morally. We have to. But because of the locations, because of where we are, we could literally do, with Ed's properties, they are beautiful and people will come there. But we have this opportunity. We have this opportunity to really broadcast what we do. And, we can't miss it. So to come back to that over and over again, yeah, we don't need to, and it takes a tremendous effort and a tremendous cost. And the amount of resources that go into that farm and trying to figure out a new process for literally everything every day is painstaking, but it's gratifying and rewarding and beautiful all at the same time.
In terms of the history of Gamble Creek Farm, Jim, what was that 26-acre property before Child's Hospitality initially leased it? And then I'd like you to tell us about it. There was kind of a change a couple years ago in terms of not a lease anymore.
Correct. So we took the property. Ed and the Child's Group took the property as a lease. We leased it for 7 years, and tried all kinds of different things. We tried different ways of management, different types of growing. We did hydroponic stacks out there for a while. So we've when we got the farm, it's like, okay, so how do we do this? And we basically started from ground zero and have figured out, well, what can we grow when? And now we're to the point where our chefs can get with a farm team and really develop a menu and how these things are coming out of the field. But for over these years, this property was a research facility. They were looking to take rainwater irrigation. There's a rainwater irrigation pond we have in the back of the property that we're still trying to figure out. But the research facility was to be able to take that water, feed the crops with it, and be able to filter out all the sediment and things from that pond. And if you think about what might be in a rainwater pond, I mean, there is, beyond all the plants that are growing there, all the fish that end up there, all the creatures in there. I mean, that there is no better water that you could use to irrigate your crops with. So originally, that's what the property was for. Part of the property, the front half that we farm on, the 12.5 acres that are certified organic. Past that to the east is Gamble Creek and a bit of a floodplain. That right now in the rainy season, that floods up to right where we all the way to where the beds are, and that's planted with eucalyptus trees. And those trees were planted back in the same era, trying to show local farmers, hey, there's sustainable ways and sustainable things and revenue streams that you can come up with in a floodplain on a farm here in Manatee County. So eucalyptus was planted there. The idea is a eucalyptus tree can be harvested up to 4 times successfully. And those eucalyptus trees can be harvested for oils, for pulp, and for mulch that we could even use out there at the farm. So we're looking forward to, in 23, a first chance of really taking a little section of that and seeing what we can do with it.
In any given time, Jim, this farm store you have is very impressive because in addition to all the produce that's fresh and just picked from Gamble Creek Farms, you also have food items from other local purveyors that are doing things sustainably and have a high quality product. Give us a little tease of some of the items that are in there. I saw some zucchini yesterday that looked quite appealing.
Well, the zucchini that you saw yesterday, we have 2 types of zucchini coming out of the fields right now, Respect and Pantheon. And both of those are visible and for sale in our restaurant, in our market. But as far as our other vendors and things that we have, Mayaka's Gold Apiary, so local raw honey, different varieties of that. 15 olives, a gentleman who grows olives in Florida. Some come from California, but some come from Florida. But these are the only olives that go into olive oil in Florida. We have items from our bakery. Just the things that we have you don't find other places. They are in line with our values. They're in line with who we are, and most of them are partners. We'll find a lot of Shogun pork. You'll find in our market. We'll have their bacon.
Some really good looking sausages. Yeah,
great sausage. Toffer does an outstanding job. The bacon's great. The sausage is great. And so all those products are all available out there. And it's when we can close the circle on the composting, and then we can close circles there. And as you're using, so we also have the commissary out there that feeds the prep for these restaurants. So when we take the items that we're not using to prep for the restaurant, we're able to take those from the commissary and put them into the market. So just eliminating waste stream after waste stream, and then we even get to the point where we can juice that at the end before it goes bad.
Jim, very impressive. As we need to say goodbye, Gamble Creek Farms is open to the public. What days of the week are you open? What are the hours? And then, of course, the website.
We are open 5 days a week, hoping to be 7 days here soon. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We have fresh bakery goods from Teddy Lulutis, who you heard from earlier.
We have some bread right over on the table.
We got our bakery delivery every day, so always great for fresh croissants. And GambleCreekFarms.com.
And only one way to spell it that I know, but that's Gamble. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Harwood, General Manager of Gamble Creek Farms. When you're in this area, this is really something to see. The way everything is displayed in the farm store, there is just great attention to detail there, that that there's a lot of care and attention that is going into this. Jim, thanks for making the effort to come out, and we look forward to following your progress. You are listening to the SoCal Restaurant Show. You've heard us talking about Shogun Farms many times during the show up to now. We are now going to talk about Shogun Farms in detail. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. And welcome back. It is the 10th anniversary version of the SoCal Restaurant Show. And we are here with you every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. until 12 noon, right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show. Welcome. And we're enthusiastically presented each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. I love to find out about things that catch my attention. And then when you get into detail, the backstory and what it's all about is equally fascinating. What am I talking about? Well, here in this area is something called Shogun Farms. And in California, we don't have quite the problem they have in Florida with wild pigs, wild boars. But understand, these little critters, everybody thinks piglets are really cute, and piglets are cute. But when they're wild and they grow up in the wild, these little critters are very destructive, they're mean, they destroy property, and they eat almost anything. And I will let the principals of Shogun Farms tell the story, but what the Fays have come up with is a way of harvesting these wild feral pigs, rehabilitating them, and then bringing them to our table in a very humane way. And with that as background, it is a pleasure to welcome Pamela and David Fay to the SoCal Restaurant Show, the proprietors of Shogun Farms. David and Pam, welcome and thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having us.
Hi, Andy. Thank you for having us. We're happy to be here.
As I am. David, let's start out with you. You kind of backed into the whole idea from Shogun Farms because you enjoy hunting. How did you hear about these feral pigs? And then you and Pam figured out this way that we can take something very bad and really make it into a win-win, and then again, bring something delicious through the creativity of restaurant chefs to the table.
Well, thank you. So you're exactly right. We did back into it. Being an avid hunter, we started using a rare breed of dog, the Dogo Argentino, to catch the wild boar. And we were killing the wild boar as we're supposed to, and we were eating them, but we were catching so many that we weren't eating all of the pigs, and that's very unethical. That's not who we are as people, as hunters, and so we had to come up with a way to be more resourceful for the wild boar and our community, and we loved our dogos, so we just went out there and started catching more and more and bringing them back to our farm right in Tampa, Florida, and once we got them back, we had to figure out what to feed them, so it created another challenge. So then that's when we went out to some of the farm distribution channels and started getting local grown produce to feed them. So we're bringing back these amazing descendants of the Iberico pigs that came to our area, first introduced to the United States in 1539 into the Tampa Bay area, and that's where the wild boar came from by Hernando de Soto. And so we take these wild boar, feed them a wonderful organic, locally grown produce, and creating the finest wild boar in the world, arguably.
Pam, tell us about how the rehabilitation process works, what the minimum time is, what the maximum time is, and how the temperament of these animals changes from when they first come into your hands to when they leave your hands. Because I had a chance to visit your farm yesterday and saw the process and saw the transformation of these pigs along the way. Something very impressive.
Yes. So, keep in mind they are an invasive species. And like you've said, they can be dangerous. They make a
Mean.
mess, mean, all that. So we're helping that throughout the state of Florida by removing them and allowing the native species to have the land that they were here to have. So once they get to us, and we actually, as we speak right now, we've got a load being dropped off right now that were trapped. And as they come to us, they go into quarantine. Our veterinarians look them over. We give them medications to deworm them. They're in a quarantine process for at least 30 days where they're closely monitored, fed daily and checked. And then after about 30 days, then we are able to move them over to the general population. And as you saw yesterday, when they first get here on the farm, keep in mind, they've been running wild for whoever, how long, wild. And now they're put in outdoor pens. They're still in the mud. They still have the same kind of natural habitat, so to say. And so they don't really like us so much, So, but
As a matter of fact, as I observed, they actually, when you approach their pens, they stay as far away from you within that pen as they possibly can. And it's the herd up against that back fence.
Yeah, but if you go in the pen, it might be a little different outcome. But we have a very safe
I'm not
procedure.
sure I would advise that.
Yeah, we have very safe procedures in handling them when they first come in, at all times, of course, to keep the animals safe and to keep our employees safe too. So then we have a whole channel system set up where we move them to general population. They continue to get fed. They start to calm down a little bit. They get really domesticated. You saw yesterday, a lot of them, you can even hand feed them, touch them. And so while they're with us, they, learn the lay of the land. They're getting fed every day. They love when the trucks pull in, they start losing their mind. They get very conditioned to being there, and they love being there. And so over time, they just become pretty domesticated, and it makes an amazing product after they're being fed all of the local grown produce and foods that we provide them on a daily basis.
Well, and talking about an amazing product, I have experienced and now tasted Shogun Farms meat in 2 of the Child's Hospitality restaurants. One of my favorite preparation is their local bay clams that they prepare that have house-cured Shogun Farms bacon. And I think that's kind of the ultimate taste test. That's some good tasting bacon. And it is surprising. You'd mentioned kind of in passing that I want to talk about a little bit more. You have veterinarians on site. So if there are any health problems with the hogs, with the wild pigs, again, during the time they are with you, they are treated a lot better than nature treated them. Tell us a little more about that, if you would.
Yeah, so they're closely monitored. Like I said, every day, all of our staff is trained. Anything they see that doesn't, appear to be right, whether they're just not moving as much or they're not gaining enough weight, it's addressed immediately. So our goal is to keep them healthy, keep them eating, keep them happy, reduce any loss, and so that they're definitely cared for all day, every day. And even when the veterinarians aren't working on their days off, they'll come in if we see something that we need help with. So it's a constant 7 days a week. They don't get weekends, Animals want to eat 7 days a week and be cared for. So, yeah.
Funny about that. David, they finish off when they reach market weight and then are going to be dressed. They're finished off with milk. There's kind of an interesting story because of your local producer here. Tell us about that final send-off with the milk because it's kind of fun.
So the local producer Borden has been very generous to us, and as they restock the shelves in all the stores and grocery stores, that milk that's about to expire, they'll switch it out with new fresh milk, and we bring in about 8,000 pounds of milk about once a week, maybe twice a week, and we feed that milk out as an additional supplement to the produce. And they absolutely love the milk. They stand under it when you're pouring it in and just get bathed with it. And then seasonally, we also finish them out with acorns. So we have the 100-acre farm that you visited yesterday that's covered in the live oak trees. And so seasonally, we will also finish them with God's food, the acorn.
David, besides the creative things that the Child's Hospitality chefs do with the Shogun Farms meat, what are some of the other chefs doing, and what are some of the other outlets for the product? Because I actually think you produce some yourself. Don't you make a sausage?
Yeah, so we have a local partner that makes chorizo, breakfast sausage, ground. The number one seller that we've seen over the years is the trim. There's so much that people can do with the trim, and so we've been fortunate to sell it to quite a few different restaurants that make a wild boar ragu. We've been very fortunate. Ed Childs being our best champion and cheerleader of this product, and he will also tell you that bacon is arguably the best bacon in the world.
It's mighty good, David, I'll tell you that.
Very good. And so we've been very fortunate because of Ed and his family and all the things that he's been able to do in his lifetime with these restaurants, Anna Marie Island. He's also connected us with a lot of celebrity chefs. And pork is not a divisive type of meat, and wild boar isn't. And he's got us with Michelle Obama's chef, and that made headlines. And we got to feed her with our pork on her book tour. The Trump correspondence meal when his administration was in office. And so a lot of celebrity chefs through Ed Childs. And so we've really reached out there with his connections with that product.
How are you distributing the product at this point?
So we have a couple local sources that buy the product and will cut it into the primal cuts and specific cuts that a customer may need. We have some restaurants that are buying directly from us, including you got to meet Chef Toffer of the Child's Hospitality Group. They'll buy the carcasses directly from us, and then they'll break them down for their needs.
And he makes this amazing charcuterie, I know, from your product. So been very creative as far as that aspect of things is concerned.
Yes, and we have a site that we can be contacted, at shogunfarms.com, and so they can reach us through that site, and we can also ship them the carcasses or cuts as needed.
David, just so there's no confusion, you ought to spell Shogun just to be on the safe side.
Thank you very much. Shogunfarms.com, ShogunFarms.com, Shogunfarms.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Fays from Shogun Farms, taking a nuisance animal in Florida that is a real problem, not only addressing that problem in a very humane way, but also giving very creative chefs that do wonderful things with pork another outlet for that great white meat. Again, just a very, very creative enterprise that I just know from the growth so far that, there are more heights to scale with Shogun Farms. Faze, thank you so much for sharing the time with us. And again, we will be watching your progress. You are listening to the SoCal Restaurant Show. It is our 10th anniversary show. We're broadcasting live from Anna Maria Island. We're going to finish it up talking with another chef from the Child's Hospitality Group. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. Don't wander far. And welcome back. Sadly, it is the concluding segment of the SoCal Restaurant Show, but the better news is we're going to be right back at you next Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon right here on AM 830 KLAA, the home of Angels Baseball. I'm Andy Harris, the executive producer and co-host of the show. Thanks for sharing this 2 hours with us as we celebrate the 10th anniversary of the SoCal Restaurant Show. And yes, we are live from Anna Maria Island, Florida. We've been enjoying some of the better restaurants that are in the area. Certainly the flagship is the Child's Hospitality Group, so it is only fitting to conclude the show with a couple of their culinarians. And of course, we are sponsored, excuse me, each and every week by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. So joining us for our concluding segment is the longtime executive chef of Sidebar, the flagship restaurant for Child's Hospitality here on Anna Maria Island. Had a chance to sample this gentleman's food on Thursday night, and I'm happy to say it lived up to its reputation, that being Horatio Egan, and his colleague, who is the new general manager of the Mar Vista restaurant, been with Child's Hospitality for more than a little while, that being Brandy Craig. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure.
Horatio, let's start with you. You spent some time along the way in Spain. Octopus is a dish we like to see on restaurant menus, but chef, it's not always executed to a fare thee well. Octopus is very well represented on your menu, and it is moist, tender, flavorful, and not chewy. What's the secret of wonderful octopus, chef?
Well, I would say it's all in the technique, also where you source it. As being a sustainable restaurant, we have the pleasure, and I say, to pick up what we want to cook, and the octopus that I get is from the Yucatan with the Mexico, so I have to go through a couple loopholes to get it, and it's not as easy, but it's probably the best product out there.
What is the secret to making it tender, chef? You got to give up a couple of your secrets here.
Pounding it, pounding it, grabbing a saute pan, or and just pounding it, kind of getting it loosened up, and also the way you cook it, the technique you cook it, and love, man. I mean, love.
Chef, you have a very difficult time because your infrastructure at the Sandbar is old. You can't, in terms of remodeling and renovating, giving the footprint of where you are on the beach, there's certain things you can do, there's certain things you can't do. So basically, you have two side-by-side kitchens that, in terms of the layout, particularly given the volume that you're doing, is very inefficient. How do you make that all work, given the number of covers that you do, and fine dining all the way?
Well, first of all, is having a great team, hiring the right people for the right job, and menu engineering, and just coming up with creative ways, trying to make things happen daily, and try to be the best and to live up expectations, especially on this side of the island, was being best restaurant around.
Is it fun for you to do all the weddings that you do? Because again, chef, those are very special occasions, and you can't blow it.
Yeah, it gets challenging sometimes because it's like busy in both ways, but it comes with territory, it comes with the job, and it comes with, like I said, having the great team in place. I wouldn't make the food that I make if I wouldn't have the team that I have, and the support that I have from upper management, my bosses, to the owner, and everybody else.
And you give a lot of opportunities at Sandbar. There's a program that I believe is called J1 that you bring in young culinarians. Very briefly, tell us about that program, because boy, what a wonderful opportunity for them.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can get, like I said, a culture melting pot going, and right now we have students from Indonesia, Jamaica, Ecuador, Colombia. So yeah, we give this opportunity to these young gentlemen and ladies to come in and kind of look at the business, work somewhere across the board like I did, and it's a good opportunity for them.
Brandy, I want to bring you into the conversation. And again, congratulations on your promotion. I know you've been with Child's Hospitality at the other two properties for a fairly extensive period of time. Mar Vista is very special because of the mooring space you have for boats. It's, berth and dine. Tell us a little bit about the layout of your restaurant, and also in terms of part of your infrastructure, part of the building, goes back, I think, almost 100 years. And from the outside, unless you knew it was there, it is the most understated restaurant entrance I think I've seen, unless you approach from the water. Then it's a little bit more, the neon, and even though there is no neon, but that's a restaurant.
Right. Yeah, Andy, it's uh, you can come up by boat, you can drive in. We have kind of a mix of clientele, which is really, really interesting. You have people coming in off their boat and the bathing suit, and then you have people coming in a collared shirt and coming in to have a fine dining meal. So we get kind of the best of both worlds in our little hidden treasure.
Now, you have a relatively new chef de cuisine there, Chef Aaron. How do you work with him on a day-by-day basis?
Yeah, we're both new to the Mar Vista, so which is kind of great because we're coming in with fresh eyes
Clean
and
slate.
clean slate, and new ideas, and he's got a lot of great ideas that and he's really really creative. So
I'll second that motion from having the meal there last night.
yeah, so we work really well together, just trying to execute some fun stuff and maybe do some things that maybe haven't been thought of before.
In terms of what changes you might make at the Mar Vista, of course, you're kind of getting your feet on the ground at this point. Obviously, this is a well-established, well-known restaurant, totally remodeled not that many years ago. Where are you going?
Yeah, so we were remodeled in 2019, so a fairly new establishment. You still have people that come in and say, "Oh my gosh, what'd you do with all the dollar bills that were on the wall?" And so just gently elevating everything as far as the menu and service, and but still trying to keep that old Florida feel um, is what we're going for.
Tell our listeners, if you will, Brandy, about your outdoor patio area with the trees, because boy, that just is an incredible area. And then just in back of that, or in front of it, depending on how you want to do the perspective, you have an indoor-outdoor area. So you're getting the breeze, you're getting the view of the docks and the water. I mean, again, a very special experience, also like what you get at Sandbar, but different because that is specifically you're on the beach.
Yeah, so Mar Vista is a little unique in the sense that it has those old, 100-plus-year-old trees, the buttonwoods out back. So you have kind of a quaint experience there on the bay, as opposed to our other restaurants where you're on the beach, which is nice also. But it gives you a little bit more of a, I don't know, I feel like romantic feel. Uh, you wouldn't know it walking up, but boy, once you get out back, it's a real treat.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, when you hit Anna Maria Island, two of the destination restaurants that definitely should be worthy of your consideration are Sandbar and Mar Vista Dockside Restaurant and Pub. I'm afraid we are out of time. I want to thank both Chef Horatio and Brandy for making the time and come and visit us. They're going to be having a busy Saturday night. Food fans, that's our show. A tip of the toe to Manatee Educational Television for providing all of our production services today. Kudos back in Anaheim to Lou in Technical Excellence, and also Mike Boyle, our Assistant Chief Engineer. We're back in Anaheim next Saturday, but we're going to continue be talking about the area. We're going to be having the proprietors of the Chateau Anna Maria on the show. We're proudly presented by Melissa's World Variety Produce and West Coast Prime Meats. Doctors in the Dugout with Alan Beyer, MD, and Jonathan Kaplan, MD, takes the field next. Dine well and be safe.